Good Monday evening to you all out there, and welcome into another episode of the OBR GameTape. We are your hosts. I'm Jacob. That's Sam Penix, and we have completed the rookie GameTape series of the Browns 2025 draft class. So now we're going to dive a little bit deeper into some of the younger guys and go over that stuff. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, hit that little bell. Know every time we go live here on the OBR streaming network, we're live for you. 5 days a week. We've got multiple shows every day, Monday through Friday. Jeff Lloyd starts everything off every week, every day, 6 p.m. with Browns 3D. Us here on Monday, and then a lot of great shows throughout the week. So please make sure you stay locked in and here over at the OBR.com for the written side of things as well. And we're going to dive into some Isaiah McGuire talk. We're going to do some talk about the young defensive end. Sam, how you doing, man?
Tired. Vacation takes a lot out of you, I guess. Not sunburnt anymore, so that's helpful. Ready to get back into the routine, the grind of things. So excited to start that off with weekly show again.
Yeah, we were having a conversation. You said, I just came from the beach. It's hotter here than where I was because of the crazy heat index that we're recording this on Sunday night, of course. And I was out, I walked outside and I had some yard work to do. And I think I was outside 30 seconds and I was just coated. It just dripping top to bottom. It was ridiculous. But we're going to get into Isaiah McGuire now that we're done. Jamari Thrash next week. Probably do some Mike Hall maybe the week after or something like that. I think is probably what the people would like to see. So we'll kind of do that. Our Twitter handles are there on the screen. So if there's a specific player you want us to do on one of these Mondays leading up, I think we're probably going to try to do some cool stuff with the preseason on these shows once the preseason comes along. So I don't know. We're going to do some cool stuff for you guys here. I think we're trying to cover as much as we possibly can. I was talking to Sam beforehand, and I thought this was a very interesting idea. Isaiah McGuire, I don't remember exactly what he did his rookie year, but I don't remember him. He didn't really get any run on his rookie year, did he, in 23? Do you have
barely?
Okay.
Like end of season stuff. Let me pull up the snap count here. It was very little. Let's see. I'm gonna try to not say Elijah McGuire at all here because I still do that.
Yeah.
So it happens.
Let's see.
2023, he played in 4 games and he had a total of 93 snaps.
Yeah. So that's what I was going to say. I don't remember anything being really notable. I do remember him getting out there, and I was like, oh wait, he did get out there, and I saw he made a play. He had a sack, didn't he?
Yeah. PFF had him with 2, so he probably had 1, on the box score. But 49 of those 93 snaps was in the meaningless Week 18 game against the Bengals. So
there it is.
That's where that came from.
And I think that's where that sack was. Okay, so what I thought was going to be kind of cool is I'm going to look back at my analysis of him when he was coming out in 2023, talk about the scouting report that I put out for him, and then we'll talk about the 2024 season. And Sam's got some tape on his run defense and his pass rush, some pass rush reps in what turned out to be a really good year for him. I'm really excited about the upside that he showed there towards the end of the year. But what I think is really cool is I've already seen improvements from my draft profile on him and what he did in 2024 with the Browns, which is really cool. So just some keynotes that I had taken down for him as they bring up this profile. This just some of the things I talked about. I think he's a really good athlete. I think he had a 9 relative athletic score was a 9.53. And I think it really stood out was his explosive first step for me. That was something that I loved about him coming out of Missouri. I was like, this guy gets off the line of scrimmage, gets engaged. So there were some times where his quickness was like he was past the offensive tackle and they never had a chance, like just in college specifically. And I was like, I thought he had strong hands. I think I always thought his hand usage was inconsistent at Missouri, but when he was using them the proper way and put in the placement and stuff, I thought it was strong. He had some pop in there. I thought he could convert speed to power. Didn't do it a ton, not regular, not not regularly enough to be like a early day 2-day, first round guy, but like he could win with speed. He was mainly winning with speed and athleticism, but he had some power that he could win with. I thought he had good pass rush moves, but not a lot of counters. I think I wrote down that he had a rip and a chop, a pretty good rip move and a pretty good chop move when he was coming out. They liked to both stand him up and put him in a 3-point stance at Missouri. So I kind of thought that was kind of something that I liked. I thought, the biggest issue, I thought that he could be moved off the line too easily by bigger offensive linemen in the run game, which did not happen like at all in 2024 when he took over. Like that was where he was at his best was run defense, which is insane because you're just talking not even 2 calendar years later, but you're just talking like sometimes that redshirt year while they're growing and learning. And then I really like the Sagier's is what's the defensive lineman's defensive line coach's first name?
Jacques Césaire.
Jacques Césaire. There it is. I love that name, by the way. All right.
Yeah.
But I really like
French.
Yeah, which is why I was getting mad because I knew it was a very French name. I knew the French last name and I couldn't figure out the first name. But yeah, I was concerned he was susceptible to double teams. He got moved by the bigger linemen. And that was kind of who I viewed him as coming out of college. I wrote something on here that he had a relentless motor and some nice physical traits. His production in college, he had a 17.6% pass rush win rate with Missouri his final year, which gave him 82 pass rush grade and an 84.7 pass rush grade in true pass sets. And he had a 9.8% run stop rate and a 74.3 run defense grade. So I thought that's kind of where he was weaker, but I thought he had, the moves. And then my final thing that I wrote about him was I wanted them to take him at pick 74. So getting him in the 4th round with their 4th round pick was huge for me. But I was just like, hey, I think he can grow into a 3-down player. And last year when he took over the role, he looked like a 3-down player. So I said he needs to improve his pass rush plan because if he doesn't win with his first move, he doesn't have a ton of other moves, but he has the physical tools and athletic profile to develop into a guy. So that was kind of who he was to me, kind of coming out. And Sam, you did a deep dive on him with a written article bringing up this film. So before we bring up the film and get into that actual part of it, just to touch on a few things that watching over his 24 tape that some takeaways that you have.
Yeah. I think what's important to keep in mind with him and, in the discussion we're going to have is he's a 4th round pick.
Yes.
Right. So all this has to be taken in the context of this guy was a 4th round pick, barely played as a rookie, inactive week 1 because he was buried on the depth chart. So that with all that said, then you can kind of start to put everything in perspective and say, okay, there's actually some tremendous growth from this player, which I think is a testament to his work ethic, his talent, and the coaching staff, like you alluded to. So I think that's really important to start out with. Again, the clips will show, and then a lot of the things that I'm going to talk about, you can find those at the OBR if you're a VIP subscriber. This article was posted June 4th, so a couple of weeks ago. It's up there. And you can also read the one I did back in November, which was kind of like a mid-season type look at what he was doing, because even back then it was like, this is kind of interesting. Yeah. And then it improved. So one of the biggest things that I noticed was there were a lot of flashes over that first half of the season as he was starting to get more playing time, right? So he was able to like carve out a role for himself, even though it wasn't very, very large. He had 19 snaps week 2, 20 in week 3, 14 in week 4. So not a whole lot of playing time, but some, especially, for being a bottom of the depth chart guy. And then the Alex Wright injury happened in week 2, week 3, forget.
It was week 2,
and that was huge. Yeah, that was huge because, Wright played a lot of snaps for them. And, he filled that kind of dual role where he would be moved inside a lot on passing down. So with Wright out of the picture, that was really when McGuire got the chance to step up. And, he had some big flashes, right? There were plenty of plays where it was like, okay, this might be something. We might have something here in this fourth round guy. So overall, let's see, 36 tackles, 2.5 sacks, 9 QB hits, and 469 snaps. So, stats not really anything special. However, he had an 83.3 overall grade from PFF, which that on its own is impressive. And then among all qualifying edges, he was third in run defense. So that necessitates a double take. It's like, oh, okay, that's interesting.
It felt like it came out of nowhere, man.
Right, because you're saying, like, as you said, like that wasn't his game in college, and that just happened, right? So the consistency from the first half of the season to the second half of the season, dramatic increase. So there were still negative reps. Like this guy's 23 years old, second year guy, right? It's going to happen, but they were cut down significantly. Where he was a really, really consistent down to down run defender. Regardless of the level of competition, really. So we'll take a look at that. As you'll see in some of the clips, you cannot try to block him with a tight end. Like, it's not going to happen. And, again, that's a testament to him putting in the work to develop that anchor and that ability to stand there against the run and not be moved back because, again, that wasn't really there in college. But it definitely was in the NFL in year 2. Like that rarely happens, especially if that isn't a skill set you displayed in college, but he did. So I think that's going to continue. I think he's going to continue to be a very effective run defender, and that's going to earn him a role, as long as he's in the league, right? Just because that's a valuable skill set, and if you can be counted on to do that consistently, that's going to earn you playing time. That's going to earn you money. The question with him is, what is his ceiling as a pass rusher? Because he didn't really do a whole lot. The numbers here, 37th among all qualifying edges in pass rush grade. And his pressure rate was 12.5%, which is like, that's fine. 11.8% win rate, which is definitely on the low end, which is 43rd, and then 36th in pass rush productivity. So I wrote that overall the range for him as a rusher was from pedestrian to essential non-factor. So he didn't really do a whole lot against the pass. However, he did get better. Mm-hmm. And if you limit the sample size to only true pass sets, which gets rid of screens, rollouts, and play action passes. So this is only when he's pinning his ears back and rushing the passer. His pass rush grade goes up to 16th in the league. His pass rush productivity is tied for 9th. And his pass rush win rate was 24.4%, which was 7th. So that is a decent bit ahead of what Zadarius Smith did in 2023, which was great, significantly beyond Jadeveon Clowney either season, even his first one, which was great, and beyond Olivier Vernon, who I think is the best partner in crime that Myles Garrett has ever had. I was a huge Olivier Vernon fan, devastated when he got that Achilles injury. I thought he was fantastic, but as we look at pure true pass rush sets, a lot. I almost call myself Isaiah McGuire has the best data in year 2.
Yeah.
So that is extremely, extremely encouraging. And I think there's plenty of room for him to improve, even if he's not going to be the most, bendy, agile guy. So from a data perspective, that gives a lot of hope for his development. So if he can have the same jump as a pass rusher that he's already had as a run defender, now we're talking.
Yeah, we're going to be cooking with some grease, some gas oil. We're gonna cook with everything if you can have that kind of jump.
Ethanol, hydrogen, whatever you want.
Whatever's flammable in your house. Be careful, everybody. All right, Sam, take it away, though, man. Let's get into this tape.
All right, so the first 3 clips here are going to be he's dealing with tight ends, and it doesn't go well for the tight end. So I think this is Juwan Johnson on the Saints here on the left side of your screen. So
it's just,
I mean, it's barely even like a nuisance there, right? When he gets leverage and he drives his legs, it's tough to hang with him. I don't know how it happened, but he's got a lot of power in his frame. So cool.
Yeah.
Same thing here. Foster Moreau, I think. I mean, he doesn't get moved like at all.
They still got one arm. He only's got one arm free to make the play.
Yeah, he doesn't get driven back at all. I've been watching so much Mason Graham lately. I've still got one more article to put up there, his last Ohio State game. But that's what Mason Graham looks like, right? Yeah. He just doesn't move. He's just a brick wall. So that's who that reminds me of there.
When you see
here, Travis Kelce, I think it's Travis Kelce. I mean, like he goes down, yeah. Like, oops.
Did he tackle him with the tight end?
Watch the shockwave from him pushing Kelce into the defender or into the lineman, then it then causes Shelby Harris to go down. And there's a whole mess there.
Fire.
So yeah, it's pretty fun to watch him. So I think this is a rep actually gets a tackle. Juwan Taylor. Again, he's there. He's constantly around the line of scrimmage because he just doesn't really get moved back much. And this is, he did a little bit early on in the season, but again, that you can witness development and improvement over the year, and that's really encouraging. So he's now, there's another tight end here. I mean, he makes that play behind the line of scrimmage in pursuit here, backside of the play, tackle for loss. I mean, he's already carved, himself out a role here long term in the NFL as a run defender, I think. I mean, I think the chances of him having a significant regression there are pretty slim. He just stands there, right? So he's able to push that tackle over the tight end, right? Or the H-back, trying to drive him, but he stands there and goal line stand there.
What I love there, more so than anything on that play, especially, was the leverage, the way he fired off the ball on that play, and and he stayed down. There's especially young defenders. There are so many of them that start out low, start out in their pad levels. And I feel almost annoying when I'm writing profiles for defensive linemen because I'm like, inconsistent pad level. I'm just throwing, because it just happens for a lot of guys. Like Isaiah McGuire's athletic profile, his explosiveness, because you look at his jumps and he didn't have like an elite 40, but he had an elite 10-yard split. It's like with a guy like that, a lot of those guys, they fire and then they go straight up because they've already won the rep because of their speed and athleticism. But when you get to the NFL, it's not like that all the time. You got to play. He fired off that ball. He stayed low until he was making the play. And it's like, especially against some of those, if you were going against a bigger tackle who has a pad level inconsistency issue, then all of a sudden you've won that rep just solely based off good, solid technique. And it's like, he just showed so much growth in that area last year that it was just like, the explosive first step I expected, but the pad level, the leverage, the game in the drive, the leg drive, he's just like, and now you're on behind me. I'll just leap back there because, again, good athletic profile. That's my take.
It's pretty cool stuff. I think Cesare is a good defensive line coach. It seems like that. So, I mean, if he can do this with Isaiah McGuire, if he can help Michael Hall have a top 25% rookie season for a defensive tackle, what's he going to be able to do with Mason Graham?
Mason Graham, who's going to be playing next to at some point. I don't know how long, what the timeline is, but at some point he's going to be playing next to a healthy Mike Hall.
Yep.
And Malik Collins, like we keep sleeping on Malik Collins, guys. Like that dude.
Yeah, that guy with like 40-something pressures last year. That guy too. And I think the Browns have a pretty good edge opposite of.
That's what I've heard. That's what I've heard.
I think he's still here, right? As of right now.
Yeah, as of the recording.
Yes. Remember, this is pre-recorded.
Yeah. So if he's not here anymore, come tomorrow, like 24 hours from now when this is airing.
It's my fault.
It's Sam's fault.
All right. So I know we talked about pass rush being, iffy for McGuire, but again, there's still some really solid reps, especially when you get to true pass sets. So here he is against, who was that? Penning? Trevor Penning.
Yeah, I think Trevor. Yeah. That's Trevor Penning.
So again, pretty good first step. He makes the first contact with his hand here, right? So he gets his inside hand into the chest, and he's able to use his outside hand swipe and then rip through that, and then he's able to get the corner. It probably counts as a QB hit. Doesn't necessarily affect the play, but like that's a good pass rush rep because he's there quickly enough. He's it's a pressure, even though that was a completed pass. So if you can get that consistently, that's helpful. So here he is lined up as a 3-tech inside on the right hand side here. So straight up with the guard here. Again, another pressure, right? It's not like he wins immediately, but he stays with the play and then he's there. Probably
the effort, man.
The biggest effect on the play out of those, but again, it's technique here. So he waits just a little bit before he commits to that bull rush. It's not like the most amazing bull rush, but again, there's leverage here. Look at that guard, and his shoulders are now way up here, right? So you've won the rep at that point. He ends up recovering and anchoring pretty well, but he's stumbling backwards. And if the quarterback, has any pressure from this left side, Okoronkwo takes look how wide he is, right? So he doesn't do anything really. If there's any pressure on that left side from either Okoronkwo or Tomlinson, that's probably a sack because Carr can't move to the left or to his right and avoid that. So
yeah, I think
that's helpful.
Even if you forced him just to step up there, I think he would have stepped up right into McGuire's arms.
Yep. So the ability to provide pass rush from the inside, that versatility is going to help him. Another area for to watch for growth this upcoming season. So here he is again on the left side, right side of your screen, against Jawan Taylor. I mean, again, it's Patrick Mahomes. So you might as well have the same chance at winning the lottery as sacking Mahomes. But again, here, first contact, he gets into Taylor's chest, extends. It's your forklift move, where you're trying to rush. It's not necessarily straight bull rush, but he ends up extending the arms, bench press out, gets Taylor jumping backwards, and now he's long arming with his inside arm, and then he's using his left to push Taylor's arm out, and now he's in control, forces Mahomes to step up and out. And I mean, it was probably I don't remember if it was or not, probably a completion because it's Patrick Mahomes. So you can tell I get pretty irritated when my teams play that guy.
Yeah,
it's just so annoying.
It's like a couple of years ago, This was similar. Anytime they're getting ready to play Lamar or anything like that, and I'm doing any kind of Lamar and Mahomes, if I'm doing any kind of film breakdown, anything where I'm having that conversation, there's points where I just go, you just highlighted a great play. It could have been a touchdown because of the quarterback. Yeah. It's like nobody else was going to score there, but because Mahomes or Lamar, like I'll never forget the epitome of me watching Lamar or watching Mahomes is when Jadeveon Clowney threw the shoe. That was a primetime game. I don't know if it was a Sunday or a Monday, but like it was a primetime game, and they were just chasing Lamar like it was backyard football, and they're just like, "What do I got to do? Like, what do I got to do?"
It's crazy. I'll also never forgive the Chiefs for 2020. That
I try not to talk.
There's
about
rarely a day that goes by that I do not think about that game. So, anyways, moving on. Rep against the Steelers. What is it? I think that's Braxton Jones. Right?
Yeah.
No, Broderick Jones.
Broderick
Jones is on the Bears. Broderick Jones is the Georgia guy. Right tackle here. I mean, that's a quick win. Gets Jones leaning, swim move over top of him, and he's clear. Like completely clear. He's got enough bend to, stay on his feet, dive, and make the sack there. Well, I mean, I'll count that as a sack. That's incomplete. He gets the quarterback down. That's a big win in my book.
Yeah.
Again, that's the kind of stuff, right? Like Jones is a first-round pick, top 20 pick, I'm pretty sure. And he just, I mean, I know he's not that great at this point, but like that was an easy win for McGuire. So more of that we'll hopefully be seeing this coming year. And then over here again, he's inside. Wins pretty quickly. And again, this is hand technique, right? He meets the lineman's hands here, doesn't allow him to get into his chest. Hand fighting, rip through, and then the quickness and the agility to stop his forward, vertical movement, then get lateral, force that quick throw. So there's not a ton of great reps from a pass rushing standpoint, but they are there. There are flashes, and I think it's enough to be encouraged by, especially considering the dramatic improvement that he made as a run defender. So, it's a wait and see thing, but I think for what they've gotten out of a 4th round pick already, I think that's a massive win. I'm sure one of the maybe the best pick that Andrew Berry has made so far. Just really good production from him as a run defender last year. And I think, again, this is year 3 for him, right? So he's still really young. There's still plenty of room for him to grow and improve. And I think he has the inside track at being a starter this year. And I think the fact that they passed on Abdul Carter and then didn't take advantage of what I think you and I both thought was a really deep edge class, I think that says volumes about how they feel about him moving forward. So I would expect some pretty, significant growth again from him this season. And, the arrow's definitely pointing up for him.
And I was curious to check. He will be 24 next month. So you're still talking about a guy 24 in year 3. Like you said, I think we've seen historically that's a pretty good year for defensive linemen in general. More defensive tackle takes a little bit longer than edge, but like that's kind of a big year is that 3rd year once you've kind of, he kind of gets that red shirt year and then he gets a little bit of playing time and a little bit more playing time. And it kind of goes from there last year. So that is, you kind of answered the question, but just as it's constructed right now, do you think that he is the start? And when I say starter on a defensive line, because they're going to rotate and they've got a bunch of really nice young players and some good veterans and stuff in that room. But when I say like who's the starter opposite Miles, I mean who's going to get the second most snaps, barring injury. Yeah. So my question to you, you do believe that that is probably Isaiah McGuire, at least to start the year?
I think so. I'm still an Alex Wright fan. I think he's a good quality player, and I think he still has room to grow and improve. But him missing all of last year, there you go. There you go. He's a good player. I know he gets some hate, but like third round pick, guys. Like what are we
out of UAB, the dude didn't know how to play this position.
Yeah. Let's again more context and perspective. Maybe we'll have to do something on him. Maybe. I think he's a quality NFL player. I think there's still a lot of room for him to grow. He's probably how old is he?
He's down there too because is this
24. He won't turn 25 until September. So
there you go.
Like he's still a young guy. So I think the loss of last year for him was big, and then McGuire capitalized on that. So I think you have to go with McGuire at this point. I think he should be the favorite. That said, I think it's going to be an open competition, and I think Wright is going to continue to prove himself deserving of snaps, especially, considering he can move inside. He can do a lot of different things for you. And I think he, I would expect some more growth from him. Last time we saw him, like he was one of the best players on the field in that Jacksonville game, right? He made that game clinching safety sack, right? So
yeah.
I think he gets underrated just because it's what have you done for me lately? We haven't seen him on the field in a long time. So yeah. I think both guys are going to be important, but yeah, I would say McGuire is probably going to get the most snaps, second to Garrett at this point.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. Alex Wright's thing too is like he finished the 2023 season on a tear, had like a sack in his last 4 games or whatever. And then he comes out and just, he had Isaiah McGuire had it for kind of, I think, longer at the end of the 24 season than the run that Wright went on at the end of the 23 season. But those are both like, a 3rd and 4th round pick. I've been doing a series over at the OBR Written where I've revisited Andrew Berry's first 4 draft picks or draft classes. And I really do think he's gotten a lot better. Like it's become routine that he finds contributors on day 3. Like he's done it in multiple years. And you've got Mahmoud Diabate, DeAnthony Bell, Ronnie Hickman have all been solid contributors that were undrafted free agents. Like I think he's gotten considerably better. And when you look at Isaiah McGuire at the 126th pick, I don't think much about the long. I look at that guy as a depth piece that plays here and there, and now he's potentially going in as defensive end too, in a room that I know that there's it's a lot of projection in that room because there is so many young guys in there, but there are talented guys in there. I mean, Agbo Okoronkwo, like I know it hasn't quite been what we wanted it to be, but like he's shown he can be a legit pass rusher in this league, and we're talking about him being on the outs in that group.
Yep.
And a lot of that has to do with the fact that like me and you talked about this with Mason Graham when we did his film breakdown on this show, what it's now been like 8 weeks ago or something like that, like right after the draft. If you have Isaiah McGuire and Mason Graham on one side of the field, like I don't think you got I don't like your chances of running to that side of the field.
Yeah.
Like, put Jordan Hicks, whichever linebacker you want behind it. Jordan Hicks, Carson Schlesinger, I don't really care. That dude's not getting touched. And it's all about can the running back juke out that particular linebacker, because if not, it's insane what's going to happen there. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Talking about Isaiah McGuire. We're going to come back and do some Jamari Thrash stuff. I've got some Jamari Thrash. I'll do some of the college side. Sam's going to highlight some of the things he was able to do in the preseason last year because he didn't get a lot of regular season rep. run. I'm very excited about him because, like, I just think he's really creative after the catch, and I love guys that are creative after the catch. Like, I never.
There's an opportunity.
That is the most wide open position. I have 3 locks, and I think he is a lock because he's a second-year draft pick. But, like, in terms of opportunity to get targets, it is wide open after Jerry. Jerry Jeudy's going to get, like, 180 targets or something stupid, probably. And then you're going to get, like, 100.
It's going to be the Jarvis Landry effect. Like, gets force-fed the ball. Judy's better. So it's fine.
It's like,
but hey, we want to start this again.
Are we doing this? We're doing this. Hey, we're going back old school, Kevin, baby. Let's force feed it down the field. Guys, we appreciate you so much. Please make sure you like, subscribe, hit that bell. Tomorrow, Jeff Lloyd at 6 with Browns 3D, and then Brad and Pete will be back with the React at 7 p.m. for your Tuesday. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We'll see you guys again same time next week here on the OBR Streaming Network. Appreciate you guys as always.